Hi, folks. I just wanted to record a short video just explaining a little bit of my thoughts on why I selected our second course text, Fiona and Jane. Um, First of all, it's a great book. So I wouldn't choose something that I didn't think was an excellent collection of writing on its own. But I also chose it because I feel like it is a nice contrast in a lot of ways to what we see in A Visit from the Goon Squad, just to serve as further proof positive that there are a lot of different ways that you can conceptualize what it means to write interconnected stories. I mentioned elsewhere that one thing that I find interesting about the packaging of this book is that it doesn't say anywhere on it what it is. Usually, most books that you pick up say what they are. So just I happen to have a couple of books next to me. I didn't plan this. This is a book of short stories that are not interconnected anyway by a writer named Christine Sneed called Direct Sunlight. And you can see up here, it's hard to see in the video, but the word stories is right here. Then I have this novel, 11% by Maren Uthag, that says a novel right here. And as we talked about in my video introducing A Visit from the Goon Squad, that book, at least for marketing and sales purposes, says that it's a novel. Fiona and Jane makes no promises about what it is. And so I think that will be a really interesting thing. I'll be curious to see how you might classify this. And I think the fact that it's not got any indication on it means that ultimately identifying whether something is a novel versus a short story collection isn't really that important. Perhaps aside from if you want to submit it to the Story Prize, which is only for short story collections. And then if you, when you're seeking a publisher, want someone, but they only do novels, call it a novel. If they only do short story collections, call it a short story collection. But in terms of like philosophically what you're writing, it's maybe not that important to know from the get-go what it is you're writing. But the other thing that I will just talk about quickly with this book is that you're going to notice there are some ways that it's very different from, I'm pointing this way because A Visit from the Goon Squad is hanging out on my desk. Jennifer Egan takes a very different approach than Jean Chen Ho. So one thing you'll notice, if you might have already picked up on this, if you have in fact read the first several stories, is we do have central characters. We do have a central sort of protagonist pair, I would say, and that is the titular Fiona and Jane. And we move from one to the other, and that's going to happen throughout the book. We're also kind of much more in a narratively chronological sequence. Obviously, as we discussed with Jennifer Egan, there's some reasons that her book is moving in and out of chronology, but we're also going to notice that there's a lot more, I would say, stylistic and technical continuity here. You can kind of tell that every story or chapter, whatever you want to call them, is written by the same person here. The stories / chapters in this book are not numbered as they are in Jennifer Egan's book, and so there's kind of a different sense of the unity, perhaps in that regard. But a lot of the things that you might suggest make a book more novel in stories like might be present here or might not. But it is just stylistically a different way of doing this. And that's part of the reason that I chose it. I think it's an excellent book, but also does things in a different way so that you can start thinking about how you might want to organize your work by way of reading this. So those are my basic thoughts. I'll be really interested to see what you make of this book. Thanks.